Let's get it straight once for all. Can you really find cheap flights? How can you do that? And are all those websites to do that actually working? I've been doing research for the last few months and there are actually some websites that do work and it is possible to find best deals for flights. In this video I will show you 5 websites that turned out to actually work. The thing is though, it's not that simple. Airlines use dynamic pricing algorithms that are adjusting the ticket prices based on the demand, supply or competition. That's why the prices vary a lot day by day. But the thing is that in general, in a specific moment when you search for a flight, the price is defined by the airline, but there might be some nuance to it when some travel agencies like Kayak or Skyscanner add fees to prices, or they could also offer discounts and potentially have lower prices than the airlines have defined. And knowing that has helped me a lot to understand what can be done and how I should search for the cheapest flights. And I realized that since the prices change on a daily basis, the best way to find great deals would be to monitor all the websites daily and see if a cheap flight to a destination of my liking pops up. Sounds like a lot of effort, but there is a solution for that actually. And I'm gonna get to that, but there's also another possibility. If the prices vary that much, probably there are some cheap ones existing, maybe for a slightly different day, maybe for another destination, but to find them I would need a search engine. So why not to use the biggest search engine that has ever existed? Google and their flight searching tool, Google Flights. It's nothing new, quite popular website, but if used the right way can let you find really good stuff. So the best thing about it is that you can leave every field empty and it lets you search for every option possible. But let's make it more realistic. I'm living in Krakow, so I want to start from there. However, Google Flights allows to add other airports as well. I'm not a big fan of starting the travel too far from your hometown, but for the sake of this video, let's go with some additional airports. Let's do Krakow, Wrocław, Katowice and Warsaw. I want a round trip for one person and that should be a starting point. From here you can basically set the filters as you like. But to find the best deals, the fewer filters you add, the higher the chances are to find them. But let's say you would like to travel to Southeast Asia. And you can do that here, adding it just like that in the Where To section. If you want, you can leave that empty as well. In that case it would search all over the world. Now again, if you want to find the cheapest flights, don't select the dates. You will just find when the tickets are most affordable. But that's rather uncommon to not care about the date at all. There might be a specific time when you can go, or a specific time when the monsoon doesn't hit this part of the world all the time, which in that case is from June to September. But the great thing is that I can select for how long I can go and then just the months for which I want to run the search. If you want to go with the flexible dates, you can go only 6 months in advance, so let's select May and see what we can get. And there we are, we can see which of the flights looks best. Here are also some options to add filters if you don't want to have too many stopovers, or what the price would be with a specific number of carry-ons. If you want, you can still look at places outside of the search region, but in Southeast Asia this one looks nice. Bangkok for less than 600 bucks from Krakow with just one stop, sounds really great. So we have a massive tool for searching some cost-saving flights, but as mentioned, usually the airlines themselves have the lowest prices as they don't charge additional fees for the searching and booking service. A good way to find great deals is to check directly on the airline's website, but only those where you are sure they have nothing but cheap flights, so budget airlines. If I travel across Europe, my go-to websites are Ryanair and Wizz Air. I know that it can't get any cheaper, so I usually start my research there. Let's take Ryanair as an example. What I usually do, and is a great way for finding a great travel destination to get there on a budget, is to select your closest airport, which luckily in my case is Krakow, and then just looking for the places you would like to see. But Ryanair has now introduced a new searching tool with searching for any destination. So in that case, as I know Ryanair is basically operating only in Europe, I will go for all destinations. Here I can also select flexible dates, so I will also go for May. 2 to 7 days, as this one might be a shorter one. And I can see that I can go to Bari for about 75 bucks, for example. Always wanted to visit that part of Italy, so let me select it. Okay, selecting the cheaper option, and then I can directly book on Ryanair's website. So the tools are quite easy and honestly sufficient for searching for flights when you know you'd be probably using a budget airline. Usually I would just do the same for Wizz Air, and I know it can't really get any cheaper for Europe, and $75 for a round trip is super affordable. However, this all looks fine only for specific cases. Either you're taking shorter flights or you're relying on what's currently cheap and you can select your dream destination. Luckily, everything can be found online. So be careful when surfing, there are some places you don't want to visit. But never mind. There are also websites that have advanced searching algorithms to look for best connections. The first one is a website that scans a vast array of flights that allows you to find unique connections that cannot be found elsewhere. Speaking of Kiwi, the great thing is that also in Kiwi you can select several departure cities and the whole region as a destination. Let's do that and see what we can find. Let's also look for flights in May, as this seems to be a good time to visit that part of the world. No other filters for now, but as you see, you can select many of them the same way it could be done on Google. And let's have a look on the map. Singapore looks nice, but since we had Bangkok last time, I want to check and compare if Kiwi was able to find the cheaper option. So it looks like Google's option was cheaper, easier and faster. But that's not everything. I have noticed that the flight to Singapore seemed quite cheap. I looked back at Google, and for the same search, Google has found a flight for almost $100 more. So I went for it and checked the details for Singapore as well. And the reason was, first of all, that in Kiwi, I was able to select different months for departure and return, and the prices were for return in June. And it has found flights where I would stay in Singapore for a month. But even those for 2 weeks were cheaper. How come? It's Kiwi's algorithm that takes into account all the possible connections, including budget airlines, and in that case, it has found connection with Ryanair and Singapore Airlines. It even checks for different arrive and depart airports. This might be a way to save you some money, but the thing is that you would need to be lucky enough that such a deal would exist at the moment. But to have the option to see all the possible connections creates an additional opportunity to find a cheap flight for your dream destination. The other website I would like to mention is quite controversial. It is enough to say that American Airlines has sued them for how they operate. The thing is that it happens quite often that a flight to a destination city A with a layover in city B is cheaper than a flight to the layover city B only. It doesn't make sense, but Skiplack is there for you to find those flights where you can get a ticket for the whole flight, which is cheaper, and then just finish your trip at the layover destination. It can get you a deal that no other website could find. This time I can select only one departure airport, so I will go with Krakow. For the destination I can select either anywhere or a continent, country or city. In that case I will once again go for Bangkok. Of course, I guess I could just select anywhere, take a look on the listed destinations and see if any of them is available for a really low price. But let's try with Thailand first. Alright, the prices for the period in May I have selected are not that great, but let me just go to this funny line here and see the lowest price point. Looks like it's this one, alright, and select. And we have flight for around $580, which is almost the same that Google Flights has found when it comes to price. But it's exactly the same connection. Alright, but let's try with anywhere and see if there are any flights that are super cheap at the first glance. And I have found, for example, that one to Istanbul, Turkey. Still partially in Europe, but the flights there, especially from Krakow, usually are not that cheap. Well, I can get there for about $190 with 1 or 2 stops, but there's also a direct flight only $5 more expensive, so I would definitely go for that one. So, I was mentioning that in a perfect world we could monitor the prices the whole time and get alerted when the prices drop. Lucky us, we're living in the times when this is possible. This website will do that for you and will only find those deals that are really cheap in comparison to the usual prices. Secret Flying is the name of it, and it just sends alerts whenever there's something interesting. Let's search for some great deals. This page works differently than all the others I've shown so far. I will add once again all the airports I might want to departure from. And this time I select all Asia and all upcoming months, and let's see what we can find. I see already that there's a deal for Bangkok, which is awesome as we can compare to what I've already found. The thing is though that the deal is quite old already, and it turns out the prices are already much higher than they were a few months ago when the deal was posted. Currently when I'm filming this video it's late January, so let's look for closer deals. The latest one is from a month ago to Seoul, Korea, and looks really promising. Direct flight for 500 euros is a good deal, I think. Let's see if it's still available. Looks like it's also expired already and the airlines have risen the prices significantly. But to be fair, that doesn't discourage me or means that it doesn't work. The thing is that it's impossible to have great deals every day. You need to be patient and set up alerts to get notifications if a good deal pops up, as it may vanish really quickly. And all those pages show that there's no magic trick, it's the patience, being open-minded for directions and timing. And if you use any of those pages, you will be able to find way cheaper flights than you might have been used to. If you like that video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more similar videos. We all know how technology can help us in almost every aspect of our lives, including traveling. For example, it allows one to find the best flight deals, but also can make the travel itself much easier. To see what apps to use while traveling, go check out that video next. I really recommend it. Cheers, safe travels and do zobaczenia.